I think I've been depressed for too long that I don't even remember what normal feels like. And I was telling my doctor at that time that I tried to kill myself 4 times.
Wow.
All you need to feel better is just someone to listen to you. And even though I had support network, it just felt nicer to have people that relate to what you're going through.
This part of the world, or I would say depression, is mostly associated with like the younger generation. That's where Gen Z, let me just put it that way, they will be the ones that are going out there saying I'm depressed.
People mistake depression for sadness.
Okay.
Once people feel sad, they just assume, I'm depressed. Or in this generation now, once people are broke, once someone is broke, you'll be like, I don't broke, or I didn't depressed.
Today we have Zainab. She's a podcaster, a spoken word artist. She's someone who do a lot of things, but above all, she is particular about helping people with mental health awareness and all. And we have her today. It's an honor to have you.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You have a podcast.
Yeah, I do.
The Tea and Reflection podcast, right?
Yes, I do.
And it's focused on mental health. Like, why mental health? Why did you decide to talk about mental health?
Well, first off, I have a mental health peer support group. Mm-hmm. So the name of the support group is Tea and Reflection. So the podcast is supposed to represent what Tea and Reflection stands for. I'm just trying to spread awareness about mental disorder, reach out to people, let them know how normal these things can be. It's not like they are normal, but like how they manifest in our daily life and how to deal with them.
So
basically, yeah.
That's just it. So how can you share your personal journey with your mental health?
Okay, so I've said this in a lot of interviews and podcasts before. I suffer generalized anxiety disorder and clinical depression. And recently I was diagnosed with no, I shouldn't say that here. So I have been.
Why don't you want to say it?
No. Because I'm in denial myself. I think I've been depressed for too long that I don't even remember what normal feels like. And I had this incident in 2021 that prompted me to seek help, professional help. So I went to my tailor's place and I slumped and passed out.
Wow.
But before then, I struggled. Then I struggled from 2019, Then in December, I told myself part of my New Year resolution was to be okay, to force happiness on myself. So I told myself, I'm okay, I'm fine. And then in February, my body decided it's not quite there yet, I should calm down. So when I went to my tailor's place, I slumped and passed out. They had to take me to see a professional. When we did, they ran a couple of tests on me and then we got talking. And I was telling my doctor at that time that I tried to kill myself 4 times.
Wow.
And that feeling has not left me. And I've been feeling like I don't belong in this world. I don't want to leave. I just want to vanish. Like I don't feel the need to leave again. That's when I started medication. They gave me antidepressants and we did therapy. So during the healing process, it just dawned on me that there are people going through the same thing as me, maybe even worse, that are not able to get professional help. So I took it upon myself to reach out to create a community where we just come and talk. Because sometimes all you need is someone to listen. All you need to feel better is just someone to listen to you. And even though I had support network, it just felt nicer to have people that relate to what you're going through. So that's why we started Tea and Reflection.
Wow, that's quite a great story. Now, you talked about depression. In this part of the world, or I would say depression is mostly associated with like the younger generation. That's where Gen Z, let me just put it that way, they will be the ones that are going out there saying I'm depressed. And we were having a conversation before we started this podcast, and I was
Yeah.
telling you, I'm not someone, I won't say I'm someone that has experienced depression at some stage. Then you like kind of explained a few things to me that made me realize definitely I've had like depression in me at some
Let
point.
me,
A quick pause to thank the host of today's episode, Paritie Learning Group, a platform where you can learn different digital skills from content creation, digital marketing, product analysis, programming, web development, and a lot more. You can take courses online or physical depending on what you want, and it costs just 20,000 naira to get started. We have world-class tutors and instructors that will guide you from the beginning of your learning process down to the very end. We also want to announce that we have a Telegram group where we are going to engage with you, the listener, and tell you about our upcoming episodes and have discussions about the kinds of content you want to see us cover on this podcast. The link for Paritie Learning Group and our Telegram podcast channel is going to be in the description of this video. Make sure you check it out. Thank you, and please subscribe while you are down there. We appreciate it, and it's going to allow us to expand this podcast, get better guests, and talk about topics that you are interested in.
let me, before you say anything,
Okay.
the thing is, people mistake depression for sadness.
Okay.
Once people feel sad, they just assume, I'm depressed. Or in this generation now, once people are broke, once someone is broke, you'll be like, I don't broke, or I did depressed.
Depressed.
That is not depression. Depression is another thing entirely. Although lack of money is one of those factors that contribute to depression. Depression is deeper than just being sad. It is intense sadness. Like the sadness is intense, and oftentimes it doesn't like come with a cause. It only has like, there is no cause for depression. Even now, there's no cause, but there are just factors that contribute. You can inherit depression from your father or your mother.
Wow.
Yes, you can inherit depression. Sometimes moving to a new environment where you don't know anybody can cause depression for you because you feel alone. So depression is a feeling, leaves you with feeling worthless, hopeless, and it just makes you feel like you don't have any purpose in this life. It makes you feel worthless and hopeless, and you feel intense sadness. So depression is more than feeling just sad. When you feel sad, after a while, you feel okay. When you feel sad, if you just see a movie or take a walk, you feel okay. But with depression, you can even be out there doing a lot of things and still be depressed. You can be making people laugh, cracking jokes, and still be depressed. Like you could be doing all that and still be battling depression. Depression is deeper than just sadness. So shoot.
Okay. Like that was
Yeah.
the question I was about to, I just wanted you to kind of explain
What
what depression
depression
is, and
okay.
you've done that. Now there are some new emerging terms we hear, like ADHD, anxiety, OCD. I want you to just explain these terminologies. Let us know about them.
Okay, so ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It's a disorder that is associated with very short. When you have ADHD, your attention span is very short, is very limited, and you have trouble concentrating. And normally, when you have trouble concentrating, it can affect your daily life. So ADHD is associated with the post-traumatic stress disorder. This happens after having a traumatic experience. It may be death. It's even common among military personnel when after going to war, coming back from that. So when you have a traumatic experience, that you can have other things that will trigger. Those triggers are are called post-traumatic stress disorder. And then there's OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder. That one is a very interesting one because it's associated with being clean. People mistake that one for being a neat freak, even though it's more than being a neat freak. It's you find yourself obsessing over things, and there's this compulsion to do things. You feel when you suffer OCD, you are always impulsive, and then there's this compulsion to do something, to do things, and then you find yourself ruminating over things. Recently, I realized I had OCD because like when I'm in a room and there's a ceiling, I find myself counting them. I found myself getting lost in count. I didn't know it was OCD until I started reading about it. And then I am a neat freak, and I like things in a particular way. So if I should keep something here and you carry it, if you don't return it to the exact same spot, we are going to have issue. And it's so serious that like it makes me almost crazy. Like when you do things that you're not supposed to do, and I'm like, this is like, I don't know how to explain it that it will make it make sense, but
Yeah.
like these are the things. And with anxiety, and that anxiety is intense worry or anxiousness. We all feel anxious from time to time. It's part of human nature. But with anxiety, the feeling of worry and fear and anxiousness are like intense, and they're often without a cause. They just come. And when you're anxious, you feel your hands tremble, and then you sweat on your hands. Sometimes even you just start sweating, and then you may have slight headaches.
Wow.
When you're anxious, it can even upset your stomach. That's how bad it is. Yeah. And I know even though people say these things are mindset, is when you think about them that they happen to you. But one thing people don't know is that when you have these disorders, it can affect even your digestion. So you can be having anxiety and still feel the need to go to toilet, and it's due to anxiety. So these are the things.
Now we just started like talking, but you've talked about a lot of things.
I know, right?
Like, how will you rate yourself in terms of understanding mental issues?
How will I rate myself? Yeah, well, I think I'm still learning because
Yeah,
still
everyone is learning.
yeah, I'm still learning, but I know compared to where I was from 2019, I have learned so much. And if you know me from 2019 back then, you notice I have changed in a lot of ways. I have become more audacious, even though some people think that's like is making me, I don't know, people think what they want to think, I don't care, but like I've realized a lot about myself. So my understanding of mental health has helped me develop as a person. It has also helped people around me, really, because when you sit with me, we just have, once we get talking, we just have to find a way of putting mental health into it. And mental health is more than just the disorders. It could be about your self-awareness as a person, your purpose in life. It could be about your growth, your boundaries. So it has helped me set healthy boundaries for myself and people around me. And it has helped me make people respect those boundaries, because there are boundaries you're going to set that people may find somehow or weird, or they feel there are people that feel entitled self. But when you set those boundaries, you find a way of making them respect that, and it helps you protect yourself, because there are people and the kind of people and energy you keep around you that may affect your mental health. So when you understand all these things, you know how to keep away from these things. You know the things you need to put your energy and time into, and you know the things you need to stay away from. You know the thing, like me now, I know the things that heighten my anxiety level. I don't receive calls anytime and before 9:30 a.m. and after 9:30 p.m. because it gives me serious anxiety. Once my phone buzzes, I just feel there's this way my heart beats rise, and I feel I don't need to feel that if I can do something about it. So if I did not understand the concept of these things, if I did not understand that this triggers my anxiety, there's no way I would know how to deal with it. But when I learned, because I learned that this triggers my anxiety, I know how to deal with it. But before now, I don't even know how to say no to people. You ask me to do something and I will just jump on it without considering if that is in my way of, if I'm comfortable doing it or not. But right now, I know how to say no. I know what to say no to, who to say no to. I know the things anything I'm not comfortable doing, I will not do. Because, okay, I know I don't need to put my energy there. So understanding mental health has really helped me. And it has helped people around me, especially my house people, because they didn't know all these things until I started suffering. So during my medication process, it was like a process it was like a healing process for everybody in the family, because they were supportive and they were learning about themselves too. So it has really helped me a great deal. That's why I'm investing my time into it.
Now, mental health is broad.
It
Like
is.
from the few things you've said, like it's broad. I can't even wrap my head around it all.
Yeah.
Like, do you have like a specific aspect that you are more focused on?
If you notice, I've been talking about anxiety and depression more
Yes.
because these are the things I relate to more. Although they have co-occurring disorders like eating disorder, OCD. Normally, when you have anxiety, there are other issues like OCD attached to it. They have co-occurring disorders, but the ones I relate to more are this depression and anxiety, and they kind of go hand in hand. So these are the things I relate to more. That's why I'm more focused on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, if I come to tea and reflection, I just want you to kind of paint a rough picture of your program. If I should come, what will happen? How will you get me to open up? Let's say maybe if I'm having depression or something.
When you attend our session, it's a group therapy session. So when you come, the first thing we do is make room for introduction. We introduce ourselves, and then there's always a topic. So when you come, we'll let people know the topic, and then we'll do an introduction. If you don't know what the topic is, because sometimes you may just come because, okay, let me come and see what this is about. We'll talk a bit about the topic, and then we'll give an instance, sharing personal experience. You don't have to say anything. We will not pressure you to say anything. So during the talking process, when you hear someone going through something the same as you, even if it's not the same as you, I'm definitely sure there's someone you know that has certain
Points.
Yeah, so you may relate to them. And you feel the need to just say something because they're saying something I relate to. So you can't just come. There are people that will come with the intention of just being there to see how things go. And then they find themselves talking because I'm hearing somebody talk about something I'm going through. I want to learn. So we talk. We get talking. We take turns talking. You share your personal experience. If you don't relate to it, you don't have to say anything. And if you're not comfortable sharing, that's fine. No pressure. We just talk. And then we share different ways we cope. You tell us how you cope with what you're going through, and I share mine. And then we talk about the professional way of coping. Even though like most of these things do not have conventional ways other than medication and therapy, there are other things you can do to take care of your mental health. So yeah.
So what you're doing can be challenging because of the nature of our environment, where we come from. What are some of those challenges that you've been?
When I first started tea and reflection, and people ask, what's tea and reflection about? I tell them, it's a mental health peer support group. The first thing they ask, what do you mean mental? Is that not something for mad people?
Exactly.
I don't understand mental. Are you mad? You look normal to me. So and then when I try to explain further by using depression as an example, they say depression is for people that are not religious enough. I have had people say that to me, I'm doing something that abroad people used to do.
That's what I'm driving at. So like I just know once you bring topics like this, people will say, it's not common in this part of the world.
They said I was doing something that abroad people used to do, or people from Abuja, because it's Abuja rich kids that used to go for therapy. So we don't need it here. I've had people say that, and a lot of people say all these things is mindset. If you believe in them, that's when it's going to happen to you. But it's not true. But yeah, what to do?
So what do you think the level of awareness when it comes to mental health? I feel it's so bad in here.
Well, I won't say it's bad, but it's bad. I won't say it's like so bad because people are becoming more aware with the help of social media. Thankfully, people are becoming more aware, and then there are pages dedicated to like educating people about these things.
Okay.
So even though there are still people that are like shallow-minded, and there are people that they are shallow-minded and they are close-minded. They are not open to learning about these things. So they make these kind of people make it difficult to spread awareness around it. But I feel like people with the way the world is advancing, I feel like people are becoming more aware of these things. So it's not as bad as it was before. It's getting better by the day.
So do you get like any form of stigma from anyone for doing what you do?
Not really. not past. I don't know. I've not really experienced that.
But I
Like
think
stigma. Me, I've not experienced that one. But I know people do that when they see you and you say you suffer this thing, they look at you in a certain way. Well, except if it counts, if this counts when I say I suffer this thing and they look at me with like, what do you mean you suffer anxiety? What do you mean? If that counts for stigma, then okay. I've had people look at me like that. But I've not really had any experience where people treat me a certain way because they feel I suffer this. Nobody will even know. Unless I tell you I suffer this, you will not know. Because it's not like it's written on my forehead or any.
Yeah.
And it's not like it comes like it stops me from being out there. I'm high functioning, so it's even very hard for people to believe when I tell them I have this or when I tell them I suffer this. But yeah, I've not really experienced that stigma that people talk about. But
like
I know it's
when,
there.
when you walked into the studio, like by just messing, you were smiling and you looked very happy. So it will be very difficult for someone to tell that this is someone that's gone through.
It's very hard. That's why I said
this.
It's deeper than all this, like mental health, especially depression and anxiety. It's deeper than just feeling sad. Someone can experience all these things and still be outdoorsy and still be out there doing things. You can experience all these things. It's deeper than all this.
So now you talked about like seeing a doctor, seeing a therapy, and personally I don't really think in my mind, I'm just from my own perspective now. Okay. I used to think seeing a therapist in Nigeria is difficult.
That's what you would think.
Yeah, I think and most people think that way.
It's not difficult. You just go to the hospital and when you see your normal doctor, tell them this is what you're going through. Your normal doctor will recommend you to a therapist you need to see. It's not that difficult. People think it's difficult because they are not open to going there. They feel maybe if they admit that they have this, they may send them to psychiatric ward. And you know what happened in our Nigerian psychiatric ward? They will tie you to chains and all that. So people are in denial of these things. That's why people don't want to do that. And sometimes people say, instead of me to pay money to go for therapy, let me go and chop suya with money now. So that's what people think.
So is it like very expensive?
It depends on.
Okay, it depends on the
it
level.
Depends on the person, the therapist. You know, everybody have their price tag, and they charge per hour most times. So it depends on the therapist. Sorry. So I don't know. It's not that expensive. It's not that expensive like people say, but some can be expensive really. But therapy is very helpful, and you don't have to suffer depression or anxiety or any mental disorder to go for therapy. I feel like everybody should go to therapy at least once in their lifetime. You don't have to suffer any disorder. You should go to therapy at least once because therapy helps you see yourself. Sometimes hearing yourself talk about your life gives you an insight into how to be better, what you need to do to be better, where you're lacking as a person. It just gives you an insight into your own life.
The way you're talking, you're making me want to go to therapy.
You should.
Now, you talked about social media, but I don't really see content talking about mental issues in Nigeria.
You know, there's this algorithm thing on social media right now. So, the only things you see on your wall are the things
on my feed are things I like.
Yeah,
I understand.
Exactly. So you only see mental health related stuff if what you do are kind of in connection with that. So that's why you don't see them, but they are everywhere on my page because I do something like that.
So there are prominent Nigerian creators in that space.
There are. Really.
It's just like you said, me, I'm mostly interested in tech, so that's what I see.
So when you enter any of your social media page, that's what you will see.
But do you think it's effective, the awareness on social media?
It is to some great extent. It is. I feel like our world somehow revolves around social media these days.
Yeah.
So it is. But You only see this thing, the impact of these things, if you are interested in learning about these things. If you're not interested, if you are someone that is only interested in comedy, when you go to social media, that's what you see. So it is only if you go looking for it, that's when you see there are a lot of pages dedicated to mental health awareness.
So do you think technology is advancing like every day like crazy?
It is.
Do you think, like you said, there are times when if someone calls you, you know, it might trigger something.
Yeah.
And personally, I've had that in the past. I think there was a time where my phone was constantly on silent. If it just rings, my heart would just start
Racing.
racing.
Yeah.
Like, it got to the extent where I was even maybe like shivering at some point.
See? That's why I did what I did.
Yeah, I know. Like, I could just relate to what you said. And that time, I think I thought I was sick. I went to the hospital and I was on medication for the wrong thing. I just found out now.
Yeah.
So
that's why we need to learn about mental disorders.
Yeah, so I feel phones or technology has an impact.
Yeah, they do. They have their own in as much as they have their upsides, they also have their downsides. So the phones and social media and technology also impact mental health negatively and both positively. So when you feel like, when you felt the way you were feeling that time, if you had known, you would have just unplugged, put your phone on silent, reduce your screen time. That would help. You know what to answer, what to reply to, and what not to. There are times on Twitter where you see a lot of depressing things happening. All I do when I consume all these things, they affect me. So all I do is just to unplug, leave Twitter for a while until I feel myself again. So if you experience that, all you need to do is unplug until you feel better.
I think I watched a video on YouTube. I've forgotten the creator. He said, normally if we wake up nowadays, the first thing we do is to reach out to our phones. And if the moment you pick your phone, the first thing you see is a bad thing or a sad thing, it's going to affect you
your day
all through the day.
Yeah.
So he was giving an advice telling people that if you wake up, try to do other things before you come to your phone.
Yes.
Do you do that? Or do you wake up and go to your phone?
Always. But like, I try not to. Like today, I did not do that. I checked time, but like I did not just go to my phone. But more often than not, I do go to my phone. Like the first thing I do when I open my eyes, I don't even check to see if I can walk. I just carry my phone. But yeah, it's very healthy to do other things before checking your phone, so that you're not greeted by bad news. But it takes a lot of self-restraint not to do that. How many people have it?
So like, what do you think is the future of what you do? Like the awareness. How do you see it playing out in future? Because like I said, I won't say I'm new to this. It's something that I'm aware of, but I haven't really talked with anyone about it. Like I've talked with you today. So I feel this is like an eye-opener for me, and I'm sure a lot of people that will listen and watch this podcast will learn a lot of things. How do you see the level of awareness growing in Nigeria?
Well, I think the level of awareness is growing fast and is growing big, and if it keeps going this way, I think more people are going to be more aware of these things. Okay. And there are a lot of organizations who dedicating their time to spreading the awareness around mental health and breaking the stigma. So if they keep going with support from government, hopefully they're going to get better. They are going to reach out to communities that don't have access to phones, that don't know what these things are about. So with time, I think things are going to get better and better. And hopefully we'll have a mental health care facility that would accommodate not just people with severe forms of mental disorders that need change. Because I don't think we have those facilities where you can just go and see a therapist and talk to on a normal.
Like, the reality is, like you said, mostly if you just talk about mental health, it's associated with people that have like severe
forms of
chronic madness. Let me just put it that way. Chronic madness. If like I should just come out and start saying I'm depressed, or maybe I'm having anxiety as a man in this part of the world, people might even start criticizing me that this is a weak man.
Yes.
Stuff like that.
There's that.
And there's something called like toxic masculinity that kind of keep men away from trying to open
seek
up
help
and look for help. And I've seen cases like outside Nigeria where they later opened up and they found out that, okay, I'm sick. Like I can remember an incident in my head. I watched it on YouTube. I'm someone who spent a lot of time on YouTube, and I was listening to a podcast where he ended up opening up, and he has been sick for like 20 years.
Damn.
And he was crying on that podcast, and that was like what made me kind of start to realize that, okay, this is something serious
that shouldn't be overlooked.
And when you came today, we talked about a few stuff before we started recording. I was like, okay, at some point I've experienced something like this, and I didn't even know it was kind of a mental stuff.
Yeah, I feel all this toxic masculinity should be debunked, because they are really keeping our men away from seeking professional help. They're making them become toxic. They're making them become toxic even to themselves. So they need to be aware of these things, and we need to create a safe space, safe environment where they can openly talk about their experiences without shame, without judgment, without fear of being judged, because most times men feel that they will be judged, and there's this shame attached to admitting as a man that you experience this is like admitting that you're weak.
Yeah.
So there's this shame attached to it. So I feel if we create a space where men can openly talk about these things, it's going to help change the world a great deal. Because why would you say as a man you're not supposed to feel this way? I mean, you have a heart, you're human, you are supposed to feel.
So like, do you have any resources that you can recommend, or maybe social media pages? Because definitely we are going to leave some links in the description of this podcast for anyone that wants to maybe have a better idea of themselves.
You can follow Mentally Aware Nigeria. They're
Okay.
I think one of the biggest mental health organizations in Nigeria right now. You can follow Mental Health Nigeria Mental Health, or Mental Health Nigeria. You can follow Tea and Reflection too.
Yeah, definitely.
Hello. Then you can just randomly go on Google and search for mental disorders and just read about them. That's the best way to even read about these things in detail, to get a detailed information about these things. Yeah, so
So I just want to appreciate you for taking your time out to come and talk with us.
I'm happy doing this.
I've learned, and I'm sure anyone that is listening is also going to learn. I'm going to leave the links to your Twitter handle in case anybody wants to reach out.
Okay, no problem.
Hope you're okay with that.
No, that's cool. That's all right.
Thank you for coming.
Don't send me creepy messages.
Yeah. Disclosure. How do they say it?
I don't know.
Your message to our DMs has to be straight about mental health.
Yes, because I got one creepy email a few days ago, and it's messing with my head. So creepy. Is there a way to track email?
I don't think there is any.
Yeah, but wherever that is, stop.
She has sounded the one. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice doing this.